Well, most of us have had a rough year. The pandemic has turned the existing cracks in our lives, in our families, our careers, our country even, into what feels like great divides. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm tired. I'm tired of the masks. I'm tired of the distancing, the arguments, the sickness, the death, and just the pain of all of it. But I still believe that good has and will come out of this. God will somehow, in some way, bless this mess. Do you believe that? Well, Joel chapter 2, verse 12 through 13 says, "Yet even now, declares the Lord, return to me with all your heart, with fasting, with weeping, and with mourning, and rend your hearts and not your garments. Return to the Lord your God, for he is gracious and merciful, slow to anger and abounding in steadfast love, and he relents over disaster." Well, Joel wrote this during a national calamity. A plague of locusts, unlike anything that they had ever seen before, hit Judah and Jerusalem, utterly destroying all of their crops. Not only did the people rely on crops for food, but it was also a major part of their economy. So how could God let this happen? That was the question they were asking. Well, the people had forgotten about God. They were trusting their own abilities and their own ingenuity, and the nation had been going through the religious motions of it all. They went to church, they practiced religious ceremonies, they said the right things and the right words, and they kept most of the religious rules, but their hearts were far from God. And here Joel, speaking on behalf of God, reminds the people to rend their hearts and not their garments. Well, what does that mean? You see, when people would fast back in those days and repent, they would rip their clothing and they would cover themselves with dust or ashes to show their humility and brokenness before God. But while the people were doing this outwardly, their hearts weren't really into it. So God says, rend your heart, not your garments, essentially saying, break your hearts, but not your clothes. Weep over how far you have fallen away from me instead. God doesn't care about religious appearance and ceremonies and the pomp and circumstance of it all. He wants our heart. You see, these people were so stubborn that it took a plague of locusts to devastate their crops and their economy for them to realize their need to return to God. Can you believe that? Well, maybe they aren't so different from us today. I wonder, have you been going through the motions of religious activity when your heart has been wrapped up in all the cares of the world, far away from God? If so, this is good news for you. Even now, it's not too late to return to the Lord with all of your heart, and God will be gracious, merciful, slow to anger, and abounding in steadfast love for you.